Hello and welcome to my Game Week 7 Transfer Targets video. I'm Peter, and today I'll be checking out the best players to bring in this game week, plus I'll discuss the most popular transfers in and out and let you know if I think they're good or bad moves to be making. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Thanks, let's get started. Top of the list this week is Cole Palmer after his huge 25-point haul in Game Week 6. Shocking defending and great finishing was the order of the day at the Amex Stadium last week. Cole Palmer is class and exuded confidence with a cool penalty, stunning free kick and two great finishes after poor Brighton defending. He's not going to face this kind of opposition every week though. He's probably not going to face this kind of defending until Chelsea play Brighton again in Game Week 25, frankly. I'm sure he'll have another great season, but his two big scores this season have come against two sides whose attitude to defending was cavalier at best. Chelsea's next two games are against some of the toughest defences out there. Teams who go out looking to keep it tight. Just look at the defensive numbers for expected goals conceded. Forest, 0.89 per 90. Liverpool, the best in the league at 0.72. Arsenal are up pretty soon after, and they're tough to break down. Even Newcastle, who've been pretty poor this season, showed their defensive resilience against City in Game Week 6. Now, Man United looked poor, but one decent game out of 5 shouldn't be enough to entice you to buy a player, even one as good as Cole Palmer. He's simply not going to go and score another hatful of points in the next 2 weeks, and not enough in the next 5 to be worth buying. Come Game Week 12, it'll be a different story. Managers have shown a lot of interest in two other Chelsea players this week, but the same situation applies. Nicholas Jackson has had a great start to the season with 4 goals and 3 assists, and at times has shown great composure with his finishing, along with his usual great movement. He's looked good for his price. Jadon Sancho is also starting to become popular, having started the last 2 matches, grabbing 2 assists in the process. His stats of 0.04 expected goals and 0.30 expected assists are okay without being great yet, but at 6.4 million he could become quite a steal. Not until Game Week 12 though, just like the others. Brian Mbeumo keeps on producing and is making a mockery of my decision not to rush out and get him. Another great finish against West Ham to add to the one against Spurs in Game Week 5 took him to 5 in 6 matches. The fixture run is good now, so even though Brentford created very little after their goal, I'm sure Mbeumo will get enough chances to add to his tally over the next 7 weeks. There's not a lot to say against owning him, unless you have other fires to put out or other preferable transfers. He's not essential this week, but he's great. We should also consider Fabio Carvalho of Brentford. He started the last 2 matches, got the assist for Mbeumo's goal against West Ham, and looks to be an absolute bargain at 4.8 million. He won't match Mbeumo's numbers, but you wouldn't expect that at his price. He's just a great budget enabler with great fixtures who you can happily play every week and will allow you more funds to strengthen your team elsewhere. I really like him as an option. Everton are another team managers are looking to invest in, and after Dwight Mcneil got a brace and 15 points against Palace last week, he's the 4th most transferred player in. He's another player I really like, and if I wasn't already tripled up on Everton, someone I'd be really looking at. We know he's been moved to the number 10 position this season and has been getting into some really attacking positions, and 0.50 expected assists is an excellent figure. I expect him to keep producing returns with Everton's great fixture run. The only tricky one might actually be the first against Newcastle. They've been poor this season and have conceded plenty of chances to the opposition, but they did show significant improvement against City last week. Whether that will continue, it's hard to say, but it doesn't put me off owning him with all the other great fixtures to come. Perhaps there isn't a rush, and there might be better transfers to make this week, but if you're going for him, get him by Game Week 8 for the Ipswich away match at least. Luis Diaz continues to be heavily transferred in this week despite last week's blank, but even though we've seen how good he can be, and despite liking the Palace fixture in this week, I no longer think this is the time to bring him in. The long-term run just doesn't look good enough for a player who doesn't usually get to 90 minutes and needs to get points on the board early in matches. There are so many better options than Diaz out there at this point in the season. We've already discussed 2 of them in Mbeumo and Mcneil. Salah has been transferred out more than in this week, despite his 10-pointer against Wolves. He didn't have the greatest game, but that just shows how easy his route to points can be. His minutes are better than those of Diaz and Jota, and with the Palace fixture looking good for attackers, this doesn't seem like a good time to transfer him out. For those people that are thinking of moving him on for Cole Palmer, I just don't like that at all. Salah's Arsenal fixture on the horizon in game week 9 isn't a good one, but Brighton, Villa and Southampton straight after certainly are. The only scenario I kind of like is if you're selling Salah to redistribute funds to bring in Haaland, who is at the beginning of a great run. Otherwise, I think he's a good hold. Let's have a look at those City fixtures. It really is a lovely sea of green now. Doubling up or even tripling up on City sounds like a smart move if you can. It's Gvardiol who's the popular transfer in this week after his goal and 9-pointer against Newcastle. He came off after 78 minutes against Slovan Bratislava in midweek in a match that was pretty easy for City. Now there's never a guarantee over any City player starting, except maybe Haaland, but I think Gvardiol probably will, and I expect him to get good minutes over the next 5 weeks, and the season as a whole. He seems like a pretty good buy. I'm more interested though in City attackers myself, and there's a couple that I'm looking at. Jack Grealish seems like the safest of the two, for now, for minutes, so I'll begin with him. Although he was benched against Arsenal, he started 3 of the last 4 games and has had good minutes in each. He got the assist for City's goal with some excellent work and looked bright throughout. He only played the last 15 minutes in the Champions League on Wednesday too, and looks primed to start the match against Fulham in game week 7. I anticipate him continuing to get good minutes over the next 5 or 6 game weeks, but accept there will be a risk of rotation on occasions. With the quality of the City fixtures though, I think he'll get enough returns to justify his selection. The other player is Phil Foden. After his phenomenal season last year, he returned to City after the summer break, lacking in fitness and hasn't started many games yet. That has just started to alter now, playing the majority of City's 2 recent midweek matches in the Carabao Cup and the Champions League last night. He looked excellent against Slovan Bratislava yesterday, despite the poor quality of the opposition, and also impressed in the final 20 minutes of Newcastle last week after replacing Ilkay Gundogan. Gundogan had been disappointing in that match, and he went on to play the full 90 against Bratislava too. I think that his Premier League place this week will be given to Foden. It's not a guarantee, but I think it's a very likely scenario. If Foden gets regular starts over the next 5 weeks, the fixtures are good enough for him to do really well. There's a risk, but it's one I'm seriously considering taking. The Spurs attack has really started to click in the last 2 matches, and Dominic Solanke and Brennan Johnson are currently of real interest to me as well. Solanke scored at home to Brentford in game week 5 and away to Manchester United in game week 6. He's put up phenomenal XG in the process and played 90 minutes or close to in all 3 games since his return. Looking at the fixtures, his next 5 all look good from an attacking perspective. Brighton are even missing Jean-Paul Van Heck for a month, and if Lewis Dunk and Adam Webster are the centre-back pairing this week, then they're really lacking in pace back there, which would be a real problem if they persisted with a high line against a spacey Spurs team. West Ham, Palace and Ipswich have been conceding goals for fun, and even Villa can't buy a clean sheet. Johnson doesn't carry quite the same goal threat, but 0.51 expected goals per 90 is great for a player at his price. He looks to have made the right wing position his own, with Kulusevski now playing more centrally, and has scored 4 goals in his last 4 games. Good minutes, good stats, good fixtures. It's the combo we're all looking for, and Johnson and Solanke could both make excellent additions to our squads this week. After being sent off in United's poor performance against Spurs at the weekend, Bruno Fernandes had since had his red card overturned after United appealed the decision. He is no longer suspended for the next 3 matches, which leaves owners with a decision to make. If suspended, he would have been an easy sell. But United's upcoming fixture run is actually pretty decent. Villa away isn't the easiest, but as I just mentioned, they do have a habit of conceding. The next 5, excluding Chelsea though, are fantastic, all among the worst 6 teams in the league for expected goals to concede. It seems to always be the case, but once again, I don't really see Fernandes as a sell. Maybe the red card will be the kick up the backside he needs to turn his performances into FPL points. For me, he remains a hold. Eze has been the 3rd most transferred out player this week, but in this instance, I agree with his owners letting him go. His stats are pretty reasonable, and it's not his lack of returns I see as the problem, it's the next 3 fixtures. Liverpool, Forest and Spurs are 3 of the top 4 defences for expected goals against this season. The figures speak for themselves. Palace aren't going to get many chances in these matches to improve their league position, and I don't see many returns for Eze. I think he has to go with so many better cheap options out there. One last mention is Raul Jimenez of Fulham. 3 goals in 3 matches since coming into the team is excellent and represents great value at 5.5 million. His expected goals of 0.59 is splendid, But this is the wrong week to invest in any Fulham player. It's Manchester City away this week. Are we really seeing them doing well at the Etihad? I'm not. Jimenez is okay in future weeks, but I feel there are better options than him now. That's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed it. See you for the next one.